The Urbanist is brought to you in association with the Department of Culture and Tourism, Abu Dhabi. Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi is a beacon of hope and inspiration. A catalyst to spark growth and collaboration with museums and experiences, where art and science and nature and technology coexist.
The belief of Abu Dhabi that culture is the backbone of our society.
Stay tuned for a special episode of the show, in which you can hear His Excellency Mohammed Khalifa Al Mubarak explain exactly why and how Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi is the perfect place to collaborate, create and innovate. Saadiyat Cultural District Abu Dhabi, proud partner of The Urbanist on Monocle Radio.
Some of the world's most stunning, moving and impressive pieces of architecture come in the form of religious buildings. In Houston, a non-denominational chapel that is currently rebuilding after Hurricane Beryl has been a spiritual sanctuary and design lover's dream for decades. You're listening to Tall Stories, a Monocle production brought to you by the team behind The Urbanist. I'm Andrew Tuck. In this episode, Gregory Scruggs takes us to the Rothko Chapel.
Step inside the Rothko Chapel, and you get more than just a respite from the stifling Houston heat. You get the precious experience of silence and stillness, something increasingly rare in the modern era. You get a moment of contemplation, perhaps to connect with a force greater than yourself. That at least was the hope of philanthropists and art patrons Dominique and John de Menil, the French-American couple who wanted to create a sacred space in their adopted hometown. The de Menils were enamored of how post-war France infused religious buildings with contemporary art and architecture, from Henri Matisse's Chapel of the Rosary to Le Corbusier's Notre-Dame du Haut. And they were inspired by the Catholic Church's liberalizing tendencies during the Second Vatican Council. So in 1964, they commissioned American abstract expressionist painter Mark Rothko to create a chapel, a thoroughly modern artist tasked with channeling an ancient yearning for divine encounter. Rothko, famous for his color-filled paintings, eventually prepared 14 canvases that are the chapel's centerpiece. Half feature hard-edged, black rectangles on maroon ground, and the other half varying shades of purple tones. But they didn't come easy for the tortured artist. Rothko wrote to the de Menils in 1966, quote, "The magnitude on every level of experience and meaning of the task in which you have involved me exceeds all of my preconceptions, and it is teaching me to extend myself beyond what I thought was possible for me." While the painter struggled internally, he lashed out externally. Rothko clashed with the chapel's original architect, Philip Johnson of Glass House fame, and cycled through two more. Rothko committed suicide in 1970, a year before the chapel was finally completed and open to the public. While Rothko himself never had the chance to appreciate his masterpieces in their intended setting, today over 100,000 visitors from around the world make the pilgrimage annually, whether modern art aficionados or spiritual seekers. I went myself earlier this year for the second time. The space hushes visitors instinctively, to the point where even a whisper feels too loud. Your sight, too, quiets down. The visual noise of the outside world fades away as you slowly perceive the subtle tones of Rothko's color choices. It takes at least 15 minutes inside for your eyes to adjust, and as the natural lighting changes with the clouds and time of day, the same painting takes on a different hue. Sadly, the chapel suffered extensive damage on the 9th of July from Hurricane Beryl. Water leaked through the roof following heavy rain and gale force winds, damaging 3 of the Rothko panels. In August, the chapel's leadership announced that the space will be closed indefinitely, while Witten and Proctor Fine Art Conservation repair the paintings. Eventually, the chapel will reopen, and once again, Visitors will have the chance to open the heavy doors, select from an assortment of holy books covering all the world's major faiths, kneel on a cushion or sit on a bench in front of a Rothko triptych, and see for themselves how modern art can spark an encounter with the divine. As Dominique de Mille said, the Rothko chapel is oriented towards the sacred, and yet it imposes no traditional environment. It offers a place where a common orientation could be found, an orientation towards God, named or unnamed, an orientation towards the highest aspirations of man and the most intimate calls of the conscience.
Tall Stories is a Monocle production from the team behind The Urbanist. This episode was written by Gregory Scruggs and produced and edited by David Stevens. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive new episodes every week. I'm Andrew Tuck. Goodbye, and thank you for listening, City Lovers.